Classified, the fourth and final launch map of Black Ops 4 Zombies. Yes, 4 launch maps. And despite the controversial natures of some of the other maps in this game, especially the launch ones, Classified is often met with unanimous praise. Is that praise deserved? Well, let's quickly get into it. So, leading us off is the pros section. Can you guess what we're going to talk about in the pros section? Yup, you guessed it, the map layout. No, I'm kidding, we're talking about the lore first. So Classified is very interesting as it actually takes place at 2 separate times. The intro is right before Moon, while the outro is after Moon and before Alpha Omega. To keep things simple, I'll cover the outro, but the intro is pretty much just another Black Ops 1 type of map, where Ultimates just build a teleporter after arriving at Groom Lake, and when they build the teleporter, they teleport to the Moon, and that's where Moon takes place. The outro is interesting though, as after the events of Moon and during the events of the Victus maps, Ultimates with a Samantha-controlled Richtofen just wander the Moon endlessly, wondering what their next journey is. However, after the events of Buried when Maxis destroys the world, Maxis actually retrieves Samantha's soul from Richtofen, and has his body left in a catatonic state with Ultimates. Ultimates, not knowing what to do, actually use a teleporter on the Moon and accidentally teleport many years back to 1963 at Groom Lake, where they are then captured and experimented on. However, if we remember at the end of Buried, when Maxis destroys the world, right before this happens, Primus Richtofen teleports to the scene and retrieves Victus and the zombified version of Richtofen that Maxis had banished Ultimate's Richtofen's soul into after he removed him from control of the ether. When this happens, Victus is put in cryostasis back in Richtofen's lab, while zombie Richtofen was sent by Primus and teleported to Groom Lake to reunite with his Ultimate self. When zombie Richtofen is teleported to Groom Lake, he walks up to his catatonic body and crumbles to dust, as his soul is put back in his body. Richtofen awakens to the surprise of the captors, where they then capture Ultimates again and actually lock them in a cell, due to not knowing what they're capable of. Soon, Primus, after the events of Blood, teleport inside their cell and meet up with their older selves. Nikolai informs them of a looming danger and asks for their help so they can build an army to fight Dr. Monty, who is now aware of the broken cycle and is after Primus. Unfortunately though, as Nikolai is talking, the alarm goes off and then they realize they need to make a quick escape. And Nikolai informs Ultimus of this and the fact that they have a war to fight, so they must leave quickly. However, before they go, Ultimus Dempsey asks, "What kind of war?" And Nikolai responds,
"A war unlike any you have ever seen. The Great."
Yes, the Great War. Nikolai wants to recruit Ultimus to help them fight the Great War. As far as we all know, but we'll talk about that soon. Anyway though, the lore is absolutely fantastic. For being a small survival-ish type of map, this map has a ton of lore and especially a ton of radios. And the writing in this game specifically is just really good stuff. How they can turn a little survival map into a storytelling genius masterpiece. The shot of Ultimus and Primus looking at each other is probably one of my top 5 favorite moments in all of Zombies history. This map absolutely kills it with the story. Something else this map kills is the layout. Yes, Classified, as we all know, is a remaster of 5. And like Blood of the Dead, it takes what made 5 good and actually expands it. 5 was good, but it was really difficult and cramped. So what does Classified do? Well, they just open up some more office areas. And then in the war room, we get some extra rooms too. Also, we actually get a teleporter, which we can use to take to Groom Lake, aka Area 51 on the Moon, that has a nighttime aesthetic that looks amazing. And all of this is extremely easy to navigate and to digest if you're like a newer Zombies player, as Classified prides itself on being a simple yet fun map. Black Ops 4 is known for having some of the most complex, difficult, and complicated map and Easter egg steps known to mankind. However, Classified takes all of that and throws it out the window in the favor of being a fun survival map that is super easy to pick up for any Zombies fan. That's what Classified serves to be, and it does a fantastic job at that. And ironically turns 5, one of the hardest maps in Zombies history, to Classified, one of the easier maps in Zombies. And that's completely okay. This map's simplicity is actually its greatest strength, and I'm pretty sure everybody can unanimously agree on that. Something else people can unanimously agree on being a good thing is the return of Ultimus. Yes, since Moon we couldn't play as Ultimus. They have had cameos, of course, like in Black Ops 3, but we couldn't actually play as them. And they're back and they're funny as ever. The writing for Ultimus in this game, specifically Ultimus Takio being aware that he's not very funny to most people, actually makes comments on that. That kind of writing is all over this game with Ultimus, and it is some of the funniest shit I've ever seen. And there's a reason, some very iconic quotes like Takeo going down with the ray gun, and that actually being one of his quotes where he wants to be revived because he has the ray gun. Stuff like that is what makes Treyarch awesome, and what makes this crew even more awesome than they already were. Some other great features, of course, are the return of the electric trap from 5, being the original first buildable, and it works just as great as it did in 5, being a great way of infinite damage, even though BO4 actually has a health cap on zombies on round 35, which is a very nice way to make high rounds fun but challenging, because with the introduction of super sprinters. Another great thing about this map is the map's Easter egg, or lack thereof. However, it technically is an Easter egg, because the Easter egg cutscene is unlocked on round 150. Yeah, that's quite a task to get to, but that's all you have to do. You just had to hit round 150. It's a little high. I personally think it should be 115 or round 100, but the Easter egg cutscene is well worth it, and the strategy to get there, while kind of annoying and boring, but the best strategy is just to camp down in the laboratories area with the shield, which also returns, and some of the Black Ops 4 perks that are more defensive, like Stone Cold Stronghold and Victorious Tortoise, that makes the Black Ops 4 perk system bode very well with this map's Easter egg. Another great thing about this map is actually the return of the Wonder Weapon on 5, the Winter's Howl. Yes, the Winter's Howl makes its grand return on this map, and it is miles better than it was on 5. It's a lot more ammo, it looks a lot cooler, it sounds a lot better, and it's a lot more effective, and there's actually a quest to unlock this thing. You don't need to just get it from the box. That works just as well, of course, but you can actually unlock it for free through a quest, which is awesome, which also means more than one person can get it. Unfortunately, Treyarch didn't make only good decisions with this map, as we have a little bit of bad things on this map too. Of course, we have the return of my favorite Nova Crawlers. Welcome back, you pieces of shit. You're just as annoying as I remember. And yup, you guessed it, they still add nothing to the map. They're annoying, they just get in the way, they ruin your aim, they make the freaking Easter egg on this map even harder because you need to constantly change where you're aiming. I hate the Nova Crawlers, they're never good, and nobody likes the Nova Crawlers except for 5 people on this planet, and those probably being the 5 people that designed the Nova Crawlers. Fuck these guys, they suck. Another problem I have with this map is the fact there's no Easter egg quest like the Giant. It's not really necessary for a map like this, and you can technically count the Winter's Howl quest as an Easter egg quest, because it gives you an achievement. But that quest is a little uninteresting and very easy to do, and it's not really worth it, and I really wouldn't consider that an Easter egg, as you don't get XP for it like you do on the Giant, you don't get a gate worm or anything like that. It doesn't really count as an Easter egg. The only quest on this map is the round 150, and while that's great for a first time completion, this map seriously lacks in the replayability department when it comes to the quest, which honestly I will give a pass, because BO4 is filled with great maps that are super complex and all have replayable Easter eggs. Having one map that isn't like that is okay, especially considering how casual fans are just as important as hardcore fans, so having a map that caters to them in the game is definitely a welcome thing to attract all kinds of zombies players to the game. One of my biggest problems with this map, and it's probably a lot of people's problems, is the absence of the Pentagon Thief. Yeah, it doesn't make sense lore-wise, because in the cutscene we see him teleport away, but it didn't have to be that way. He has a model in Blackout. Why didn't they find a way to integrate him into the gameplay? And instead we get the return of the Hellhounds. Why? While Hellhounds are neat in their own regards, the Pentagon Thief was awesome and was something that made 5-5. Like I said, it don't make sense lore-wise, but they could have found a way to put him in, of course, as, like I said, he has a model in Blackout. It's just very strange stuff. But anyway, that leads me to the end of my con section. This map is fantastic. I have really no issues with it. The problems I did have are more than just nitpicks than anything. This map is perfectly great for what it is. It's a very fun survival map that welcomes all players, hardcore and casual fans alike. This map serves to be a lighthouse of simplicity that juxtaposes itself from the ocean of complexity that is BO4, and I think it does that remarkably well.